"Why don't you have a girlfriend?" she asked, her voice soft but curious, like she had no idea those words had just pierced straight through my chest. I smiled, because that's what I always did when it came to her. I smiled to hide the truth, that the reason I didn't have anyone else was sitting right in front of me. I met Lily 3 years ago at a coffee shop near my apartment. It wasn't anything cinematic, no spilled drinks, no dramatic eye contact across the room. Just a girl with tired eyes and a gentle laugh asking if she could share my table because the place was full. She had this way of talking like she already knew you. Within 10 minutes, I felt like I'd known her all my life. She told me about her love for photography, how she wanted to capture moments that make people feel something. I remember thinking, you already do that, Lily. Just by being you. We started meeting there often, sometimes planned, sometimes by coincidence that didn't really feel like one. She'd show me her new photos, I'd tell her about my new job, and somehow our lives just overlapped. She became my person. The one I'd text when something went wrong, the one I'd call when I couldn't sleep. She'd laugh at my jokes even when they weren't funny, and I'd walk her home every time, pretending I wasn't memorizing the sound of her footsteps beside mine. She had a boyfriend back then. A guy named Tyler. I'd never met him, but I knew how she looked when she talked about him, hopeful, nervous, like she was still trying to convince herself it would work. It hurt, but I never said a word. I told myself I was happy just being her friend. I told myself love didn't always need to be spoken to be real. Then one night, she showed up at my door crying. Her eyes were red, her hands shaking. Tyler had cheated on her. I didn't know what to say, so I just pulled her close and let her cry into my chest. I can still feel how tightly she held me, like she was afraid I'd disappear if she let go. She fell asleep on my couch that night, her hand still clutching my shirt. And as I watched her sleep, I realized something. Maybe she'd never be mine. But if she ever needed me, I'd always be there anyway. Months passed. She healed slowly, piece by piece. She started smiling again, laughing at things that used to make her cry. I was proud of her. And maybe, a little selfishly, I was happy that she was single. For the first time, I thought maybe, just maybe, it could be me next to her, but I didn't say anything. I couldn't. Every time I tried, my throat closed up, and the words turned to dust. What if I told her and lost her completely? What if I ruined the only thing that still made sense in my life? Then came that night, the question that shattered me. We were sitting at our favorite spot by the river, the city lights reflecting in the water. She leaned her head on my shoulder, her voice quiet. You know, you're such a good guy. Why don't you have a girlfriend? I laughed, but it came out cracked. Maybe I just haven't found the right one. She smiled and looked up at me, her eyes catching the light. She's out there, you know. Someone will be lucky to have you. If only she knew she was talking about herself. If only she knew she was the reason I never looked for anyone else. Because how could I love someone new when every piece of me already belonged to her? I wanted to tell her then. I really did. But I saw how happy she looked, how peaceful she was in that moment, and I couldn't ruin it. So I swallowed the truth again and smiled back, pretending her words didn't hurt. But fate has a strange way of testing hearts. A few weeks later, she called me, excited, breathless. I met someone, she said. His name's Evan. He's sweet, funny, and I didn't hear the rest. My chest tightened, my smile faded. But I congratulated her anyway, told her I was happy for her. Because that's what love is sometimes. Loving someone enough to want their happiness, even when it breaks you. We drifted apart slowly after that. She got busier, and I pretended I was too. The coffee shop visits turned into texts, then into occasional calls. Every time my phone lit up with her name, I'd feel that old ache again. But I'd still answer, because I couldn't not. Then one evening, months later, I saw her again. She was standing at the same spot by the river where she once asked me that question. Only this time, she wasn't smiling. Her eyes found mine, and for a moment, time stopped. Evan and I broke up, she said quietly. He wanted different things. I didn't know whether to feel relief or sadness. I just stood there, waiting for her to go on. She looked at me, tears glimmering in her eyes. You were always there, weren't you? Every time something fell apart, you were the one holding me together. I swallowed hard. That's what friends are for. She shook her head. No. It's more than that, isn't it? And for the first time in years, I didn't hide. I didn't smile. I didn't pretend. It's always been more than that, I whispered. You just never noticed. Her lips parted slightly, her breath catching. She took a step closer, eyes searching mine. Why didn't you ever tell me? Because, I said softly, you were happy. And that was enough for me. She looked away, tears slipping down her cheeks. Then she smiled, a small, trembling smile that carried every word she couldn't say. I'm not happy now, she whispered. Not without you. That night, she took my hand for the first time, not because she needed comfort, but because she wanted me, and in that moment, after years of silence, everything I'd ever felt finally had a home. Sometimes love doesn't need grand confessions or perfect timing. Sometimes it's just two people who keep finding their way back to each other, no matter how long it takes. And when she asked again one evening, jokingly, so, why don't you have a girlfriend? I smiled and said, I do now. Because this time, she already knew she was the reason.